Could irregular sleep patterns cause dementia? This study examined over 100,000 people to try to answer this question. There are surprising results coming up. Stay tuned. Hey there, welcome to Science is You. We're a growing channel dedicated to making real biotechnology research available, accessible, and fun for everyone. To support this project, please subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks for watching. We all know that proper sleep is important for health. Scientifically, it makes sense. Circadian rhythm and sleep-wake cycle play big roles in coordinating processes at the cellular level, like metabolic activity. Irregular patterns of sleep in particular are becoming increasingly recognized as a possible contributor to poor health. Not following regular sleeping and waking schedules has even been associated with increased risk of cardiovascular problems. Proper rest also plays a big role in brain health. But could sleeping problems actually cause brain disease? Previously, sleep issues like too little sleep, too much sleep, and conditions like sleep apnea had been linked with higher risk of developing dementia. But there's another indicator of good sleep, and that is sleep regularity, or basically going to bed and waking up around the same times every day. Here, the authors of this study want to ask whether irregular sleep patterns correlate with developing dementia later in life. To do this, they first needed some people to study. They accessed the UK Biobank, which is a group of over 500,000 adults in the UK who volunteered to provide information for scientific studies. Genetic info as well as environmental and lifestyle data were collected for all people as part of their participation. The authors of this study recruited over 100,000 participants in the UK Biobank who agreed to participate in this study. They excluded participants who already had dementia or other neurological or cognitive impairments, of course. First, they wished to examine sleep patterns in the participants. How to do this? They tracked sleep using a device worn on the wrist, much like how a smartwatch or phone might track your sleep by sensing less movement. The participants were to wear the device and have their sleep tracked for 7 days. Would you wear a device that tracks your sleep for a whole week? Share in the comments. They defined sleep regularity as the probability of someone being in the same state, asleep or awake at the same two times spaced 24 hours apart. They assigned participants a score or sleep regularity index based on this measure. For example, someone who wakes up and goes to sleep at exactly the same times each day 100% of the time would have a score of 100, while someone who sleeps and wakes at completely random intervals would get a score of 0. So they have a way to track sleep regularity, but what about tracking whether or not the participants developed dementia? This was quite impressive. The average participant age in the study was 62 years, and the participants were followed until a diagnosis of dementia was made. They actually followed the patients for many years after the sleep test was performed, for up to nearly 8 years. Patients were considered dementia-free if no diagnosis was made upon their death or by the last time the researchers could follow up with them. In total, they identified 480 dementia cases that developed in people that participated in the sleep study. So did these people who developed dementia have the most irregular sleep patterns? Well, indeed, the scientists found a correlation between irregular sleep and dementia risk, but it wasn't a simple linear correlation. First, no one really appeared to have a perfect 100% regular sleep score, not totally surprising. The average sleep score was around 60. Below this average, dementia risk appeared to increase. However, above this average, dementia risk also started increasing. The researchers observed that the dementia rates were indeed highest in those with the most irregular sleep. This correlation didn't appear to have anything to do with how long they slept or waking up after going to sleep. The researchers speculated that abrupt sequential changes in sleep patterns that challenge the circadian system the most are particularly related to dementia. But the researchers here wanted to take it a step further. They performed MRI imaging on a subset of the participants, over 15,000 people, to look at brain size. They found that in general, people with irregular sleep patterns appeared to show smaller brain volume. But again, this wasn't a simple linear correlation. This was particularly true of hippocampus size, which was highest in people with average sleep regularity scores. So an irregular sleeping schedule may be correlated with dementia, but what about those with a highly regular sleeping schedule that developed it? What's up with that? The authors of this study admit that this result seems counterintuitive. but they bring up that the relationship between sleep and cognitive function isn't so simple. For example, both short and long sleep habits are associated with poorer cognitive outcomes, including dementia. Also, although they tried to account for cardiovascular and other diseases in the participants, they can't rule out that other factors might be involved. For example, sleep disorders have been associated with cardiovascular disorders, which themselves are an established risk factor for dementia. Factors like high blood pressure and lack of exercise can also decrease hippocampus size and relate to cognitive decline. The researchers bring up also that people with a very regular sleep-wake schedule might have other risk factors for developing dementia. For example, someone sitting at home a lot without much in the way of hobbies or social interactions might have a very regular routine that isn't interrupted, but this lifestyle could contribute to risk of developing dementia. Also, the researchers weren't able to rule out reverse causation, meaning that irregular sleep patterns could be caused by dementia developing very early in the disease process. The authors point out the strengths of the study were the large size of the group of people being studied and monitoring carefully for other confounding factors like people who already had a disability or disorder. But they suggest future studies with even longer follow-ups are needed to more deeply understand the relation between sleep regularity and dementia. What do you think? Would you participate in a study that follows up with you to check on your health for years after, even decades? Such studies have scientific and clinical value, but is it too invasive? Share in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and share to help us out, and remember,